All right, welcome to Capecast. We are back for our second Moon Knight roundtable here, second episode of Moon Knight. How's everybody doing? Britt, how you doing? Alan?
It's Britt, bitch.
We're trying to keep this episode tight. You're throwing drops in here.
Just kidding. I don't. It's my favorite one, so I'm gonna do
it. Yeah. No, we're doing good over here, man. Doing good. How about y'all?
Good.
Great. Great, Britt.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, before we get started here, I just want to invite you guys to hit the subscribe button here and notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the videos we're putting out. We are on Twitter at Capecast Show, and we have a Patreon, patreon.com/CiNEMACHiNE. We appreciate all the support that we get there. So tonight we will be reviewing the second episode of Moon Knight. It says episode 1 there, but it's episode 2 because
my bad.
Changed episode 2.
You just have to imagine the 2.
Yeah. Imagine the fire.
Brandon, did you make it to episode 2? Are we still on track to continue the series?
I made it. Britt.
If you squint your eyes, it can look like the Roman numeral for 2. There you go.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you.
There we go.
But this episode is called "Summon the Suit." It's directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. And the synopsis is: with little time to react, Stephen is thrust into a war of the gods as a mysterious partner arrives. Before we get started here, I do want to say this is a spoilers episode, full spoilers. Bingo.
You've been warned.
Yeah, that's right. This the formal warning. All right, let's do the usual. Let's go around with general thoughts, and then we can kind of dive into this thing. I think Britt started last week. Alan, what you got?
I mean, it was a good episode. I didn't think it was as good as the first episode was. It had some slower moments, but on the whole, it kept me interested. You know, I'll definitely be going back for the third one. So, yeah.
Nice.
When anyone says "on the whole" now, does everybody just think Austin Powers? Like, because that's all I ever think about.
That's the only reason I say it. It's just to make people think Austin Powers. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure it's not just me.
Brandon, what you think?
On the whole, I thought it was again just like Alan said, not as good as the first one. Except I was a little the things that I was worried about from last week's episode with some of the humor was kind of injected. A lot of that kind of carried through here, and it seems afraid to commit to a super serious tone. And so it's kind of a mixed bag in that regard. So it was a solid episode. It had its moments. But yeah, a step down from the first episode, but not bad, just not great. So.
Right on. Britt?
Yeah. No, I think this one, we had more of the focus on the Arthur Harrow character rather than more of the Moon Knight stuff, which I enjoyed those aspects. You kind of got more of the villain sense, and I'm sure we'll talk into that character more. But yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think there's a few turns they took that if I would have looked at them, I would have done them a little bit different. But for the most part, still engaging, going to keep me in for episode 3. But definitely kind of agree that the tone felt a little different in this one. Some parts better, some parts worse. So
yeah, I probably would go a little bit further than all y'all. This one was real meh for me. With all the trailers and everything, I was very excited that we were potentially going to get something that was actually like a little bit more darker in tone. And I don't think that this, especially after this episode, I don't think that they're necessarily going to go there. There's dark visuals, but they don't seem to be willing to commit to that like to like a more of a gritty-ish darkness, which isn't surprising. I shouldn't be surprised by that with Disney, but like, I don't know. It had me, the trailer had me hopeful that, and the nature of the character had me hopeful that we were going to see that. And that's, we've talked about it before. That's more my sensibilities. That the humor stuff in this one, it's just eye rolly for me.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't like the music as much in this one. From what we did hear of the score in the first episode, I enjoyed it. I wasn't as big of a fan in this episode. But yeah, just kind of on the whole, it was stock down. I'm still gonna watch it. But yeah, I definitely didn't like it as much as the first episode.
Yeah, I'm wondering what tone, like, because I think in all of our minds, right? Like we're always thinking back to Daredevil on Netflix, and we're like, this is what Moon Knight needed to feel like. And I'm wondering if there is a spot in Disney where they're watching what Daredevil's doing on Disney Plus now to kind of see if they can dabble in that for future, right? So again, with Moon Knight, you have ties to Ghost Rider and a lot of this other darker stuff. So I'm wondering if they're kind of like testing some of that out, which is what we got in episode 1 with kind of some of the blood and the fights and stuff. And they're just being like, where can we go with this? And then maybe next series or next season or whatever. Maybe they take it darker, but I agree. We're kind of missing that Daredevil feel that I think we all wanted in this
it's a
series.
shame because this character is so awesome. Like this was the one to do it with. Like,
well, I think that, I still am kind of holding out hope that the tone is reflective of the character that is in control. And this last episode was a lot of Steven with the V, and so it was a little lighter tone. But when Mark did take over and kind of locked him in his mind or whatever, it did go a little darker at that point. The Mark character is darker. So maybe this next episode may push that envelope a little more, whereas they're keeping it light and funny when Steven's in.
I mean, they've kind of done that with other shows too, though, where like, the darker sensibilities work better for certain characters, so they incorporate that. But then they always fall back on this, like, we've got to make sure that we've got this fluffy, like, thing to balance it out, or to, I don't know. The audiences love humor in these things, so we gotta like,
I
don't know. Yeah. So, I think one of the cool things was where we started the episode. We're kind of going through kind of timelines, right? We started the episode where it picked up from episode 1 of him going back to the museum and being like, hey, can you check those security cameras? And I thought this was one of the coolest things about the episode in general, is the fact he's like, yeah, pull up the cameras. Yeah, that's me. Wait. And there was like nothing there chasing him and all of that. And I actually thought that they would carry that through for like another episode or two of like things are chasing him that he sees that nobody else does, and kind of plays into that, split personality and kind of his craziness or whatever with him. But that they didn't do that later in the episode. But like, I really enjoyed that first part of that, where now they're thinking he's just crazy, right? Because he's seeing.
Yeah. That's I was kind of looking forward to, like, the personality thing was kind of the thing that I was potentially drawn to the most, like concept wise, going into this show. And I was really hoping they were going to take a kind of like really like kind of lean into the psycho thing, like him internal, like, is this real or not kind of thing. But I don't know. It seems very surface level with that stuff. Like, they do stuff to, like you kind of mentioned, Alan, tonally shift from character to character or whatever. And they did a cool stuff with him waking up in the first episode. But I don't know. This was more white bread Marvel to me. The second,
I will admit the Mr. Knight stuff was totally different than what I was expecting.
I was so bummed when he started doing that float like a butterfly thing. I was like, stop it. Stop.
I know. I was expecting there to be this, like, badass moment where he's like, sitting at a table, like Godfather-esque, with his suit on, and then we got Steven, in the suit, it's just weird, it just
Yeah.
It was not what was advertised. The poster didn't lend to the character that we saw as far as.
And it could develop, but it's just like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I it's just goofy. I roll my eyes at that kind of humor. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and the part that you're talking about again is when Steven's falling, you know, and he's like, summon the suit, going back to the title of the episode and coming into a suit, right? Like he physically thought of a suit. So we got Mr. Knight. And I think they're doing that visually so we know. I mean, I know it is part of the comics. There's the two different kind of versions, and they do have their own kind of skill sets within there. But with this, it's kind of like, I feel like they're kind of leaning in on it of like, okay, well, when Steven is Moon Knight, this is his Moon Knight, you know, and when Mark it's this one. So you've got kind of this lighthearted and you know, not violent, but you know, action packed Moon Knight. So
that's right out of the Marvel or MCU playbook too, like incorporating elements of comic books in different ways than, you know.
Well, it's like we talked about last week. This whole series is set up completely different than anything that Moon Knight's had in the comic book. So,
Brandon,
so
be quiet over there. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I as well was hoping and thinking that we were going to get something very different with the Mr. Knight, because I don't have any kind of connection to the source material. So just based on some of the trailers and the posters, it seemed like it was going to totally be a different type of character. And at the end of the day, it's just more, it's jarring to me, the portrayal. So, and you know, I think a lot of maybe that just plays into expectations on my end. Like I was really hoping this was going to be that, you know, that Marvel project that was going to like feed that dark and gritty sensibility for me that I have. So maybe that's something that I'll have to kind of overcome, because it seems like that's going to continue, obviously. But yeah, I did. It was kind of cool to get a little more backstory with Ethan Hawke's character, like revealing that he was once in the same position that Mark or Steven. Do we know which one is the original person? Like, who's like the OG?
Mark, I would imagine.
Mark?
Yeah, it seems like like Mark to me.
The way they're setting it up is Mark is that OG, and then whatever happened created kind of Steven.
Yeah,
gotcha. So it's interesting to have that dynamic, and also like how he was like basically saying the same things that Khonshu was saying, but couldn't hear him saying those things.
Yeah.
He's telling you to kill me, right? Yeah.
All of his dialogue was really well written.
And I don't get me wrong, Oscar Isaac is Oscar, and it's amazing, but Ethan Hawke he is one of the shining moments definitely in that episode. Everything that he was in, he's perfect for that role.
I just
minus Chinese. It's Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Katie, I rewatched the episode, and Katie was in the living room. I texted you. She speaks Chinese.
Yeah.
But for the second time, in this episode, she looked up at me. She was like, does he know he's saying nothing? Like what? Like,
yeah. Simu from Shang-Chi wrote he needed to get a new Mandarin teacher on Twitter.
Yeah.
So call him out even from within the MCU. Sorry for interrupting you, Brandon, but
no, that's fine. I was just saying, still the voiceover for Khonshu was like, man, I just don't like this voiceover. It doesn't fit. I don't get it. But gotta have to deal with that. But
I feel like it needs to be more menacing, like we talked about on the last episode. Like it
He's
just
just very like
on-
he's. I feel like Optimus Prime is talking or something. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I mean, and
It's
he,
like
and he,
it's a VO that's like it sits on top of the mix. It's very
Yeah.
jarring.
mhm.
Yeah.
and I mean, he looks menacing. I mean, like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
is
I
a
love the
creepy
design.
looking character.
Yeah.
It just
That
like
voice does not
it
match
just doesn't
that
match it.
character
Yeah.
design.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the little chase sequence at the end, as far as like execution on the roofs? There were a couple of shots in there that were cool when he was like
Yeah.
sliding over things, but all in all, like they kind of like did it with the first trailer with the Disney Plus logo where he
Mhm.
jumps over the.
Right.
I just the budget for this thing kind of was really
Yeah.
even in those, like I was expecting them to be able to really hide that kind of stuff with the dark,
Mhm.
being at night, but like
Yeah.
the majority of that sequence, I was just like,
Yeah. There was some
like,
cool shots.
this is the cape like flipping in the back, like
Yeah.
just like, it just looked like a little like CG thing running across the screen.
It wasn't as egregious as the car chase in moments.
It's hard to be.
No.
But
Yeah, I don't know. I think the fight scene before that was the one that just threw me off. So I don't know. Like going back to the whole him fighting these werewolves or jackals, but and nobody else can see him. Like I just wish they would have carried that a little bit longer of like him thinking everybody else can still see this, and he's not know what's going on. But with Layla kind of coming in there and then her like, okay, I guess you're holding something. Let me like stab it or throw stuff
Yeah.
at
They
it.
could
Like,
have, yeah. They definitely could have like just started that sequence off with a couple of those shots and then just let the fight play out more naturally.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of like, what is happening right now? It's just bodies like kind of like floating, like
yeah. Well,
It
like
felt-
like the humor, right? The humor of them like
Yeah.
up against the bus and all the people like watching this dude like tweak out or whatever. It's like I don't know. Just
And this, I mean, and I guess it's because you're always going to compare it to Disney because it's Disney. But I got some real strong Monsters Incorporated vibes. When Sully was fighting Randall at the end, and Mike Wazowski's trying to talk to him. He's like, "If you cry, then I'm going to cry." Then, that's what it felt like.
I always go back to Hollow Man, those types of
Oh yeah.
and I guess more recently Invisible Man.
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't necessarily have as many qualms with the action in this one. Just more so tone.
Yeah.
Personally.
Like I said, I'm still holding out hope that the tone is because Steven was the main character through that episode. I'm hoping that the tone follows the character. And then we see a darker
I don't know though,
tone.
but
They're
I
building
like
up-
Steven.
really-
I don't think that
And they're
he
also
so
building
far
him up to be like the heart of the show. Like they're
Yeah.
not gonna
Right.
ditch him, you know.
Yeah. And I like, as far as that, I enjoy most all of everything that has to do with Steven. I think he's a good juxtaposition to the Mark character. Obviously it's intentional, but as just some of that humor stuff, it ends up just being jarring for me, and the needle drops and things like that. That's just my qualms with the show. I'll forgive budgetary things more so, but
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
just-
it's and I mean, even if it's Disney Plus, it's still technically TV at the end of the day. So I mean, there's going to be budget things that you're not going to be able to get past.
I mean, yeah, but like
it's still better than
Falcon
season
and
one
Winter Soldier and
Agents of
stuff. Like there's some sequence in that Winter Soldier show that were great, like movie quality shots.
Yeah, but you also have to remember like that one is kind of their first big Marvel on Disney Plus, whatever, right? Like so these first few WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, even Loki, like I feel like they had to dump a lot of budget. One, because they're the big actors, right? Like they're coming off movies, but
it's also established IP that they feel confident in pouring the money into. Moon Knight, even though they got Oscar Isaac on
I just
board,
felt
they're
like the Oscar Isaac thing for me, like that's what had me so excited. I was like, this has to, like, I couldn't picture him doing something that was like, I
cheap.
don't know.
but in the same
Cheap
light
or,
though,
like,
Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke mean a lot to us. But as far as Marvel and studios in general just see IP at this point. They're like, they don't want to take a risk. So they're like, all right, well, let's do this. We'll cut the budget, do it for a lower budget. And that's why you get some of the wonky effects and things here.
All the artwork and stuff has been awesome too. So like that has fed into my expectations for things, and I don't know.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm curious to find out as the show goes on is Ethan Hawke's character, Arthur or whatever. I'm curious to know whether he's can even see the jackals as well, because he hasn't actually come out and said that he's the avatar for what's her name,
they're tracking down,
so I don't know if he can even see, because I know he can't see Khonshu, but I'm just curious. That'll be something that I'd like to know as the show goes on.
Yeah, and I guess it's also kind of they hint at like the like killing aspect of whoever the avatar for Khonshu ends up being, him wanting to requiring them to kill people, and that seeming I can't remember if Britt, one of you can kind of remind me. I know that it's obvious that Mark's going to have or not Mark, but Steven is going to have some moral conflict with that. It seems like Mark is much more willing to do what it takes to get out of this situation. So that inner conflict between the two could kind of have a good, some good duality going forward.
And I think to that point, I think they're going to have to use each other more and more. And they kind of started to set that up a little bit with the fact that, he's studying all the Egyptian stuff. He can read hieroglyphics, right? Like him and Layla are kind of that same person almost. And so I think they're definitely setting up where they're going to have to play off of each other in these last few episodes to find, and stop this plan from Arthur. So, I think they're doing a good job in there, and I think that'll play well off of each other. But I definitely want to see what the next episode and episode 4 really looks like, because I do think we're going to see a Mark heavy next 2 episodes based on that ending scene, of him kind of trapping him in the mirror.
Yeah, with all these shows, I feel like I'm just waiting for episode 4.
Well, I mean, I think we said it last week, but that is the one that they've kind of said, just wait till you get there. Episode 4.
It's gonna be crazy.
Did someone actually say that for this one?
Yeah. Based on nice. They did say that. The screeners that I guess have came out, or maybe it was somebody in the production. I don't remember.
Just make a movie, guys. Make it a movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say that, but if it was a movie, it'd be cut down to 2 hours, and it wouldn't be the same. So, I don't know. I agree though, Britt. As far as the way it's set up, the Mark side of this character does tend to give me the idea that it will maybe lean more into the darker stuff if he is in control. So maybe that'll prove to be beneficial in terms of my my experience with the next episode or 2. Not that I don't like Steven, because like I said, I do enjoy him, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I honestly, I hope that, I know we're getting ready to cut this thing off, but I hope that Steven gets a little more control from the inside. Like when he's trapped inside, when Mark goes to kill somebody, maybe it's somebody that Steven doesn't think deserves it, that Steven pulls his punches and keeps him from doing it. You know what I mean? Like to see some fighting back, from Steven while he's trapped in there. That would be cool. I
honestly wouldn't be surprised to see more of Steven on the outside, the way they kind of set it up this episode, where like basically Mark's like, you can't handle this, and then he like punches the guy. He's like, I think I can handle it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, he kind of makes that mention at the end of the episode too, of like where he was saying like it's tiring just to even show up in the mirrors and stuff, and he's kind of saying like, yeah, that's what I've been doing for a while. I'm stronger than you. So I definitely agree, like what Alan's saying. Like I expect the scene where he's going to do something, and just like where essentially Mark wouldn't allow him to give the scarab over, I think you'll have that flip side where Steven's kind of like not letting him control his hands, and eventually maybe taking over the body.
Yeah.
And comedy hijinks will ensue.
All right, guys. Anything else you want to touch on for this, or should we jet? We'll be putting up our episode 3 review here in a couple days, and then our goal is to have those out 2 days after the episodes air from here on out. So got a little behind on this one, but we made it.
It's okay. It happens.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying us. We're doing this for you.
Yeah. Hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the videos we're putting out. We are on Twitter at CapeCast Show, and we have a Patreon, patreon.com/CiNEMACHiNE. And we appreciate all the support that we get there. Gentlemen, I guess until next week, later on.
See you guys.